My dear friends, today I would like to introduce to you Savitri Bai Phule, who was born on 3rd January in 1831 in Naigaon village, that is in Satara district in Maharashtra. At that time, being born in a gardener's family meant no education for females at all. Savitri Bai was illiterate when she married Jyotiba Phule at the age of 9, and her husband was just 13 years old. And he had studied up to class 3. The education of Jyotiba Phule itself was a miracle. He too, being of a lower caste, was not allowed to be educated. It happened that one day he joined the marriage procession of his Brahmin friend, and the elders of the Brahmin community spotted him and beat him up and chased him away. Jyotiba was so hurt that he came to his father and narrated the story. And the father, he advised him to accept it as a reality, because it's written in the scriptures that the people of the lower caste are of a lower standard and they cannot live shoulder to shoulder with the upper caste people. That challenged Jyotiba Phule, and he wanted to be educated, but he was not allowed to. Seeing his interest and enthusiasm and zeal, two of his neighbors, a Muslim teacher and a Christian neighbor, advised his father to send him to school. And Jyotiba studied up to class 3 and got married to Savitri Bai. After that, Jyotiba went to the Scottish Mission School in Pune, and he started educating Savitri Bai. It's said that before the wedding, Savitri Bai was in her own home, was turning the pages of an English book. And her father became very angry because the girls were never supposed to touch a book. He snatched the book from her hand and threatened her never to touch any book in her life. And Savitri Bai took a resolution that day. She would learn to read and write and read many books. And when she got an opportunity to study under the tutorage of her husband, she made full use of that time and she learned reading and writing. After having studied well, Jyoti enrolled her name for a teacher's training program at a training institute in Pune. She actually enrolled herself in 2 teachers' training programs. An American missionary named Cynthia Farrer helped her in Ahmednagar, and then later she went to normal school in Pune. Savitri Bai started teaching at a girls' school in Marathwada in Pune, and thus Savitri went on to become the first woman headmistress of any school in India and the first ever woman teacher in the country. Her birthday is also observed as Balika Divas in Maharashtra. But the job of teaching the girl students was not easy. Savitri was persecuted by the upper caste people. Jyotiba was persecuted by upper caste people because the scripture said that women should never read books. When Savitri was going to the school to teach children, they pelted her with stones, they threw dung on her, they threw dirt on her. And Jyotiba advised her always to wear an old sari and to carry an extra sari to the school. And she went to the school and changed her sari. And there were times when these people were pelted with stones and chased away with sticks by the upper caste people. One day they ran into the house of Jyotiba's friend named Usman Sheikh and took shelter there. They had girl children traveling with them. They had to protect them. They took shelter in the house of Usman Sheikh and narrated their story. Usman said, Fatima Sheikh too is educated. She can help you. And then they started running a school in Usman's house where Fatima Sheikh supported Savitri Bai in the teaching program. Jyotiba and Savitri Bai continued to teach the girls. The Brahmins continued to object, and they didn't succeed in stopping Jyotiba and Savitri. Finally, they went to Jyotiba's father and complained to him. His father, instead of standing with Jyotiba and his daughter-in-law, sided with the upper caste people, and ultimately they were pushed out of their home. So they went away in 1849 after being blamed to commit the sin of studying against the holy book Manusmriti and its Brahminical texts. By 1851, Savitri Bai Phule and Jyotiba were running 3 different schools in Pune, only for girls. The 3 schools combined had more than 150 girl students enrolled. Together with Jyotiba, Savitri Bai taught children from different castes and opened a total of 18 schools. They also opened a care center called Bal Hatya Pratibandhak Griha for rape victims and for pregnancy victims. Jyotiba Phule had instituted an organization called Satya Shodhak Samaj, and he went all over the country giving speeches on Indian history. And Savitri Bai supported him. She edited and published his speeches into books. Savitri Bai herself was a good poet. She wrote prose too against Brahminical oppression, against untouchability. She also supported women who were widows and who were married in the childhood. And she worked as a revolutionary woman, the first of her kind in the 19th century, when such names of women leaders were never heard of. She worked against Brahmanism. The most revolutionary thing she did was, at the death of her husband, she herself lit the funeral pyre of her husband against all the traditions, and she showed such a courage at that moment of grief. Jyotiba and Savitri Bai had no children of their own. They had an adopted son named Yashwant, and he belonged to a Brahmin family. And later he got educated and he opened a clinic to work for people who were plague victims. Unfortunately, Savitri Bai Phule died due to the same plague. She breathed her last on 10th of March 1897. My dear friends, on the birthday of Savitri Bai Phule, let us take a resolution to work for women's freedom, women's dignity, and to give them equality and respect. India needs a big change, a big leap from the present slavery of women into freedom and equality with the menfolk.